Welcome back, folks, as we are jumping on in to our semi-finals. UAL taking on Coke Ain't Diet. We've already seen game one of the semi-finals, which UAL took the win, and a fairly commanding win as well. And now we get ready for the second game as UAL try to take their spot in the finals. I'm still Milky Cereal, still joined by Gus.
Yeah, we're getting ready to blaze on into this one pretty rapidly. 1-0 on the scoreboard in favor of UAL. And we just got a little bit to get through. Honestly, I'm kind of confused because I haven't got you muted on, what you call it, on Discord.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm getting your audio from. I'm not getting it from OBS, so I don't know where you're getting my audio from.
OBS.
But then, does that mean you're not sending your audio from OBS?
I'll just be honest. This to me sounds like a you problem.
It is. I don't know why I don't get audio from you on OBS, but whatever. It's a bit weird.
OBS doesn't like you, to be honest.
Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes, but yeah,
I'm just trying to fill time. We've gone into this direction today for some reason.
Look, we're just speed running a draft.
Yeah,
we got to do what we got to do.
We actually have a Lee Sin, and the Lee Sin is going into jungle, which is weird. Actually, seeing Lee Sin jungle is weird to me now. Oh god.
Yeah, true.
It's
been a while since anyone saw one of them. That was a R4 Lee Sin, which was open to be a flex top or jungle. As Syndra had already been locked in.
Fair enough. So the Darius into Volibear is your top lane matchup. Got a Nidalee as well, which isn't something I've actually seen too much of lately, despite it being still, I want to say, a relatively strong champion.
Never pick a fight you can.
Yeah, it's just sort of been fading away. Doesn't really deal with the, the sort of tank meta that we were seeing all too well. When you think about things like, Volibear, Udyr, Hecarim, Nidalee wasn't really going to excel over there. But versus champions like Lee Sin, she's having a little bit better of a time. We also see that Gwen is not really involved at any point here in the picks and bans. So it looks like the Cocaine Diet are not too keen to bust that one out again. And UAL aren't actually that worried about it because they've somehow managed to get themselves not only the B1 Karma, which is very strong, very flexible pick and one of the best supports, but still sendable, mid or top quite easily. But they've also then paired it up with Ezreal, and Ezreal's favorite support to have is Karma. So UAL got themselves some power picks pretty early on.
As an Ezreal Luxstan, I cry inside at that comment. But it is true, Ezreal Karma, a very, very strong lane duo. But I'm looking over to the UAL draft, and I really like it. It's, especially looking at the bottom side, the Syndra, Kai'Sa, Nautilus is such a strong trio for team fights. The Darius can pop off, and the Lee Sin, a little bit of that pick potential. But when I look over to SNW, they've gone for the kind of opposite end of the team fighting spectrum. We're going to pokey you, Mystic Shots, Soul Flares, Javelin Tosses, and maybe if we can land a Malzahar ultimate, then we'll just burst you.
Yeah, it's like they have a lot of poke, but they have those go buttons, right? The flash Nether Grasp and then the Volibear engage as well. Means that, you throw out a bit of poke, but when the moment arises, you have that opportunity to go. However...
And here we go then. Game 2 of semi-finals. UAL against Coke Ain't Diet. Coke Ain't Diet, well, definitely not a diet, that's for sure. As someone who's had to drink a little bit too much Coke and Pepsi recently. But they've got the Pokey comp, and for the side of UAL have the Pokey comp, and Coke Diet have the more team fight oriented composition.
Well, I think that UAL's comp is, it's poke, but it's we do need to get the the overlay updated to reflect that UAL are on the left side and that Coke are on the right. But I think UAL, they still have a good team fight, right? Like they can fight, they have their go buttons that they can use. It's just their team fight is a lot less in your face.
Yeah. I feel like we did somewhat see that in the previous game, and it was actually from Cocaine Diet, who you briefly mentioned it as well, with the fact that you had the likes of the Irelia, the Diana, that kind of wanted to go in with the Nautilus, and then and then you had this Ezreal that didn't really want to be team fighting, he just wanted to be poking out with the Mystic shots.
Oh, but that's still a way to play the fight, right?
True.
Like, it's just not all in, you know. Lee Sin dives in, Syndra ults, and Kai'Sa dives in, it's fine. But if you're UAL there, you could just kite back, right?
Yes.
Or you poke them out to stop them engaging in the first place, and the fight doesn't happen. But if the fight does happen, you can absorb it. You have Nethergrasp to, you know, stop the Lee Sin from getting his kickoff. You have Karma Shields to get everyone out of the way, or, you know, the heals from Nidalee to dissuade any overcommitments or punish an overcommitment. It's just you also... It's like, that's the thing. They have options. They can absorb the fight, or they can not take the fight at all. Whereas Coke just have that one line.
Very true. And you just reminded me as well of the old... I say the old days. It wasn't too long ago. However, flash forward from the Nautilus. He's holding the dredge line, and now he pulls the trigger. The exhaust comes through onto the Kai'Sa. This will give a moment to turn the fight around as the Karma goes super low. Arcane shifter forward, and the pots are being used. Kai'Sa oh so low, but no kills just yet in the game.
Not quite yet, but bearing in mind there's a Darius up in the top lane versus a melee tank, we might expect a couple of solo bolos.
Flashes and drops it down. The spin, not quite enough to pick up the kill as the hemorrhage stacks were at max, and the blood was oozing out of Shonen, but not quite enough to pick up the kill.
You know what else oozes out?
Oh no, I don't.
Honey. Let's not take this one again. It's a tempting offer, but I think we're not going to dive on down that rabbit hole quite just yet, as we got a bit of jungle attention being thrown up towards this top side of the map. Both junglers lurking around the place, and there might be a bit of action. Oh, good flash forward, but the spear.
And the slow comes through as well from the Sky Split to apprehend. Not going to be enough. First blood going on over to Pacific.
Pick himself up that pretty penny, and also secure away the top crab, as well as some additional XP from the lane, getting that snowball going, which is so vital on the Nidalee.
And meanwhile, in the bottom lane as well, the Ezreal Karma is starting to establish a very nice advantage, which is exactly what an Ezreal wants to be able to do, so that he can get that first item, that oppressive Divine Sunder, as early as possible, and then, you know, start to snowball the game out of control of Cocaine Diet's hands.
Okay, well, a bit of action up top side again, maybe? No? Yeah, go on. We got any cues?
Conquerors. Oh, it's close. We've got action on the bottom side as well. Action all around. Voidseeker will actually spot out the Nidalee, making their way over. That was a little bit clutch for Xander, because otherwise he might have gone all in, only to find that it was a 3v3 and not a 3v2. Meanwhile, on the top side, both top laners survived.
Both getting away with it this time, but that's a wave crashing on in. There could be potential for a dive or a solo kill, or at least a lot of gold being lost by the UAL top laner, but not sure exactly how that one panned out, but it looks like he got most of the wave and got away.
Speaking of CS right now, Dr. Raya is at 3 times the CS of Shohim. So this Darius has done its job so far, which is to be completely and utterly, disgustingly oppressive.
That's usually where you want to be as the Darius, to be fair.
But just the 1 kill in the game so far. A couple of 100 gold between the two sides. Nothing much. We've got our first break up, but both sides just taking it nice and slow after what was a couple of minutes of early aggression. They need to chill back, maybe grab a Kit Kat, and, you know, recharge the energy cells before they go again.
Yeah, just play it out a little bit slower, a little bit calm and collected. Don't need to force anything too early on, but we do have that dragon up and available. And Ocean Drake is the best Drake to grab yourself in the early stages of the game. We're just going to get that first Drake. Ocean really helping out with the laning. So we'll have to keep an eye on it and see if either team is going to focus on this one too much.
I think Crossfire just got the godsend of Ezreal recalls. The Tear, the Sheen, and Boots as well. That's
pretty
snazzy.
Poggers. Alright, same thing. All right.
Yeah, snazzy Poggers. Oh, sorry, I should have said snazzy. That then it would really work. Meanwhile, Xander just with 2 puny longswords. Just, you know, not even serrated. Yeah, that's just sad. Well, unfortunate, we could go for. As those 2 longswords trying to cut through the Drake somewhat. As the side of Cocaine Diet will pick up the first Drake of the game.
Yeah, so they grab themselves that one, start to stack up early. We'll be looking at a mountain or, we're looking at Infernal or another mountain soul. Going on into the later stages of this game, should that be a win condition for either team. But I think both teams are sort of relatively okay with both Drakes because of, as we outlined earlier, how either team wants the fight to go. Both Drakes work towards both teams' win conditions. So, keep an eye on how this pans out and see what the future plans are. Right now, it's action on bot.
The future holds a Lee Sin making their way down, flashing forward, but the Sonic Wave won't find its mark onto the Karma. Nidalee following in. It's a 3v3 scenario, but the Nautilus is solo, and that means the Lee Sin will get fed to the Wolves, or more specifically, fed to the Cougar. As we see Pacific picking up their 2nd kill of the game.
I'll be looking for a little bit more.
I think they do want more. Dredgeline not going to find the Nidalee, and now that's one form of CC no longer available. The Ezreal Karma just dishing out so much poke, and it forces the Kaiser Nautilus away, and they're not going to be able to get in range of the CS that's crashed under their tower. Dredgeline finds his mark onto the Ezreal, but they have to be careful. That's a Javelin toss. Connecting Mystic Shot, Arcane Shift forward, not enough. And somehow the Nautilus survives. And meanwhile, I think that was a volley bear cancelling. No, it was
the Malzahar. Yeah, excellent times for UAL there. As you said, the bot lane of Coke getting pushed off the tower, losing so much gold, so much experience, and then now the teleport as well as the flash. Loads being lost there by SNW, and UAL can be really happy with the advantages they've managed to gain themselves there. They just now need to action those advantages and see if they can leave them into something a little bit more.
I want to go back to the point that you brought up about the Drakes, because you said kind of Infernal Cloud, or pardon me, Infernal Mountain. You're like, yeah, they're good for both teams, and I agree. But I want to put in a small extra clause, which is UAL, they're a high poke team, right? If they get that Infernal Soul, that's going to be kind of disgusting.
Yeah, but both teams like both souls, right? Like, there's so much, damage being built on the SNW side that they want an Infernal Soul. And meanwhile, UAL want Infernal Soul because they have so much poke, they can really get the advantage out of it, even though, Ezreal, for example, and Karma aren't actually really building that much, raw AD and AP. Meanwhile, in terms of Mountain... Oh, yeah?
I was gonna say, do UAL not prefer Mountain Soul heavily over Snow, or does it not matter because Snow with a Mountain Soul just denies all the poke?
Yeah, so Snow have a Mountain Soul, they can absorb the poke a bit better, and it makes their engage and run at you strategy work a lot better. And likewise, UAL, if they have a Mountain Soul, they can, tank the run at you and even further reduce Snow's opportunities. So both teams happy with both Drakes.
And this, folks, is why Doctor is the color caster, and I'm the measly play-by-play. As we're seeing, Snow looking towards the top side as Pacific just being really annoying, throwing out Javelin tosses to cancel the recalls multiple times from Bubba T, who eventually decides and learns his lesson. You know what? Maybe I won't recall in this push, as it is probably warded, which it wasn't. It was just consistent Javelin tosses.
Yeah, it's just putting a little bit of paranoia into his heart there as the fully stacked Hemorrhage comes up top lane, and the ultimate not doing actually as much damage as you would have thought, but it still makes it scary.
It might not be doing that much damage, but the flash spin to win. He might not be playing Garen, but spinning is always a good tactic in League of Legends.
Oh yeah, I think that was like the last moments of still having the bonus AD from a fully stacked passive, and there you go. This time, their Herald is deployed after the plates have been taken, so it just, you get more out of it, basically. You take more plates, the armor and magic resist of the tower go up, but Herald does true damage, so you want to drop it late, and that means that tower is secured. However, that might not actually be a great thing for Snow, because you have the Darius. He wants to be, you know, denying CS away and threatening the volley bear, and now that the lane is so long, it gives a lot of actually extra safety for the volley bear, because he can either try to set up a freeze to best visibilities over here by his own turret, or once the wave gets out of his control, because the lane is so long, it adds up more waves, and the wave will eventually bounce back to him. So even though he's lost his tower, in a way, he's actually safer. And then, you know, what does the Darius really do, right? If he's not threatening his lane and there's no objective up, then what's he gonna do?
Well, for now, there isn't an objective up. It's a Drake. I don't think he's going to be teleporting down to this. Maybe if Koke's Diet can't pick up the mid lane out of tower, that will just give a little bit more safety for the Darius to him. But the Darius is teleporting down. He wants to be involved in the play. The Drake has been secured. Two-shot barrage landing on the two members. The Nautilus just eating up so much poke. The Lee Sin comes in with the Dragon's Rage, but can't follow up. Scatter of the Weak really chips down at Bubba T. Flashes away, and so much damage comes through. Pacific leaping on in and picks up the kill with a takedown. Now 3-0 as UAL pick up 3 kills in the fight.
Okay, grabbing themselves again some more moolah. That money going on over to Vanidali. Such a dominant snowballing champion when given the opportunity, and this is going to make life so difficult for Coke, especially for Lee Sin, you know, Vanilli just jumping over every wall, taking away every camp. Life gets real scary real quick. But fortunately, for Snow, they do at least have that Darius as a bit of an insurance policy to protect the top side of the map, should it come to it. And, you know, you need to find yourself deflecting away Nidalee's peskily trying to eat up your chickens and your crocs.
It just felt a little bit out of sync, like a lack of communication from the side of Cocaine Diet, because it was a decent flank from Genluba, who went in with the insect play, but the rest of the team weren't there. He was dropped behind enemy lines and he said, where is the extraction? As now we see Leo going golden, but it will not stop the wrath of the Darius as Lee Sin picks up a kill on the top side of the map. 2 kills for the side of Coke Ain't Diet on both sides of the map.
We're bringing it back a little bit. Okay, getting some gold, not quite getting the shutdowns, or shutdown singular really, that needs to be secured by Snow quite just yet, but again, putting a little bit of extra money into those champions that do need to be going forward on the engage, that are going to need the stats to be able to make their way through the fights. However, we are also going to need to think about the carries a little bit. You know, Darius and Lee Sin, they need to get through the front line. They need to live. But you do also need Syndra and Kai'Sa to be able to put out some DPS. So maybe if we can think about getting that big, juicy Nidalee shutdown onto one of those 2 carries, maybe that's when Snow can really start to be in a good position.
We're seeing a 50 CS discrepancy on the top side of the map. But let's not forget, in the ADC role, that's also... Well, maybe not 50, but 40 CS discrepancy is huge. So, despite how far Dr. Wright is ahead, this Ezreal is pretty much equally as far ahead of the time.
It's true, he is absolutely loaded. When we look down there in that bottom lane, already having his Divine Thunder finished up nice and early, and now getting a little bit more of that local gold, having taken out another turret as the team move as a unit. They move in sync into this vision-controlled river, make their way up towards the top lane to start work on that remaining tower. The bot lane tower, it goes over to a stiff breeze at this point, so top lane is where they put the 4-man focus.
They're looking at the Syndra. Silent won't connect. The coach is coming through, and now the Nautilus is here to buy some extra added protection. While all of this is happening, it's allowing Cocaine Diet just to be pushing in the other lanes. They can the Syndra and the Nautilus. Well, that's how much damage Dark Sphere can do. And UAL, at the end of the day, they're just wasting time stacking 4 members in the top lane, because look at the Kai'Sa and the Lee Sin. They're going to be securing the mid lane outer tower by themselves.
And getting a little bit extra money to go on over to that red side. Now a bit of action down on bot. Again, you have to put some respect up on the Darius at this point. If you're Volibear, that's why he's down 50 CS, because he's got to respect it. And with the Stride Breaker being finished as well, which was a really good item that I'm glad Riot designed and implemented into the game, and doesn't fundamentally break several champions such as Darius. With that one being completed, you have to be a little bit scared. If you're the Volibear there, you've got to be a little bit spooked. So you back off and call in for a little bit of moral support from your teammates like Malzahar.
That Malzahar, he has shown up in the bottom lane. He's like, yo, I'm here, Volibear. And Volibear's like, you're here to give me moral support, right? Malzahar gives the Anakin smile, and he's like, nah, I'm here for your CS as well, mate. And he picks up some juicy creeps. He's currently 20 down on his CS counterpart, or his lane counterpart, I should say. We have a Drake up in 10 seconds, and guess what? UAL are all here. However, Syndra is missing at the moment, and she doesn't have the best of wards to teleport. Nothing behind, nothing to really flank in. And how do SNW want to start the fight? That's a really good scatter of the week. A 4-man apprehend, and the Darius pops off the face of the earth, and UAL are destroyed. Quadra kill for Dr. Rat, and that was clinical.
And that's what we said that Coke needed. You gotta force through the fight early on, get the early snowball, and just power through it. And that is exactly what they did. Massive combos coming on and getting that massive apprehend, as you said, get the shutdowns going. So another quadra kill, third of the day, going to the Darius this time around. And Poker showing they are not letting this series go down without a fight as they take the lead here in game 2.
What a fight. That Syndra scatter of the week was so good. I was saying there aren't any good teleport positions, but the next thing I knew, I saw scatter of the week. I was like, wait, Syndra's not in this fight. Never mind, she was. Locks down 3 members, and the Darius just flash forward, pulls them in, and then just starts dunking down as if he is LeBron James.
Yeah, putting them just absolutely in the dirt there, it has to be said. And securing the Rift Herald for the Darius. So again, another way to funnel money up into that top laner and continue with these fights. Of course, it is getting a little bit to a all your eggs in one basket situation for Cope. Let's keep that in mind, that should the Darius fall, we haven't had a chance yet to put that money, you know, into the Syndra's pocket or into the Kaiser's pocket. But at the same time, it's a Darius. That's a pretty hard guy to just burst out at the start of a fight or to make a pick on without it rapidly turning into a 1v3 triple kill.
That Stride Breaker just helps the Darius fight back, as you mentioned. A very fair and balanced item that gives champions that shouldn't have the ability to fight back the ability to either fight back or stick.
Darius's entire class, you know, all of the Juggernauts were definitely not balanced around not having any mobility whatsoever or any dashes in their kit. That, like, wasn't part of the plan. They weren't supposed to lose to people that have range or dashes. No. I don't... What do you mean Darius's entire kit was built around him getting 4 stacks of his passive relatively easily, but you having to make the mistake for him to get the 5th stack in? No. Of course Darius should have a melee range dash slow that allows him to guarantee an extra 5th auto and stack his passive entirely uninteractively and with no room for counterplay. Yes! Sure!
Are we triggering PTSD for you, Doctor? Did
just
someone
hate
hurt
Stride
you? Who hurt
yes,
you? I will
every
find
Darius and Garen I've ever played in solo queue. I don't know what it is, but I'm genuinely a Garen magnet. That, like, if ever I'm in a game with a Garen, they just dive me. Like,
okay.
It's probably because I int them early on, they know I'm free kills. But, like, I'll be playing versus that, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm 0-6. Why are you running into 5 people just to ult me and go 1-for-1? Like, there's so... Like, I don't know what it is, but they just like running into me, and Stride Breaker has caused me great deals of pain when I'm out here playing, like, you know, Phase Rush Rise or Kale. I mean, I come up against, like, a Silver Garen, and he just runs me down, and I can't kite him, even though I have 2 move speed steroids and a slow or a root. It's like, In any case, Baron.
And right as you say, you had to say that, you know, and now the Baron play has ended. However, that being said, We have people duking it out in the bottom lane. They're just pushing at the moment, and we're waiting to see if someone pulls the trigger right here around the Baron. You can see that Jen Lubu, or yeah, Jen Luba, just waiting for a moment to potentially go in. Surely he wants to be catching the Nidalee. For now, backs out Trusha Barrage, flips onto the Lee Sin, Blasco back out. And for Cocaine Diet, they're happy to play this game. They're happy, well, I was going to say they're happy to leave the Darius in the Malzahar's hands. But so far, Malzahar's been doing a good job. And, no matter what Darius does, he shoves a wave towards the Malzahar. Malzahar, presses EWQ, and the wave's gone in about 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's usually how the Malzahar do, it has to be said. He makes his own way through, cleaving out that one, even though he's not the Darius, but a bit of a fight breaking out.
That's the pick, and that's the Nidalee that's gonna go pop. And now there's no jungler, and that is the absolute pick that was needed, but the Syndra might fall as well. Is there the potential turnaround? The exhaust is so done. Clutch, Killer Instinct in behind. Crossfire will fall, and Jen Lubu onto the killing spree as the Bubba T falls as well. It's 3 kills in total for Cocaine Diet, and now they turn towards the Baron.
Let's see if they'll be able to pick this one up. They don't have the most DPS in the world, but they're not also being contested very much. It has to be said, not a single member over even remotely close to that half of the map. So the Baron will slowly but surely be secured for Coke, and that dragon has already spawned, so it's a bit of a slow start from UAL to get to this objective. Means that Cocaine Diet could be looking for both.
They are looking for both. I don't know if that's greedy, trying to have your main course and your dessert at the same time, or maybe the 3 kills was the main course. So main course, dessert, or starter, main course, and dessert all in one. Either way, UAL, all 5 members on the bottom side. The Nautilus making his way up slowly for Cocaine Diet, and it's the same for Shoham. Who pulls the trigger? Who goes in? The Darius steps up forward. He forces the members of UAL back. The Bolly Bear crashing on in, kiting back now as the Drake is being focused down, but UAL can't get into the pick. Now the Nidalee is there. This might just be a spy fight. Focus on the Nidalee. The Drake is stolen away. And what do SNW do? They look for the Bolly Bear first and foremost. The Mystic Shot comes through. The shield will be able to keep Sandier alive, as that's going to be the Sonic Wave into the resonating strike. They look for the pick. They find the pick onto the Nidalee. And while SNW might have got 2 kills, they did not get the Drake. And for UAL, they have a 5-minute extension.
Absolutely massive for UAL to be able to steal that one away, even if it costs 2 of their lives and maybe this mid tower as well. With the Malzahar alive, they should be able to defend the inhibitor. And as you said, it means they just buy themselves some time to get away from that terrifying Infernal Soul.
Maybe a chance for UAL to stack into Infernals of their own. And that 5-minute window as well. 5 minutes doesn't feel like a lot, but sometimes so much can happen in just 5 minutes. And it could give the opportunity for this Ezreal to get even further ahead. Maybe some shutdowns onto that Darius, onto that Lee Sin, which would be a huge chunk of gold going into UAL's pocket.
Oh yeah, if they can claim really just any of those, they'll be pretty happy with where they're at. But unfortunately for UAL, they're going to need quite a few shutdowns before they can really confidently say that they're happily back in this game. I mean, it's only, quotations, a 7,000 gold deficit, which honestly, I thought it was a bit more, which is why I say only. 7,000 gold's pretty bad, but I actually thought that there was a little bit more in it before having checked. So it's not impossible, but, that's going to be, like 3 full gold shutdowns and like 2 1 fights after that, so there's definitely a lot to ask. Oh, big! That's pretty worth it.
I think that was a failed tower dive, and Malzahar will be more than happy to have the item Soul Flare. Not going to find any slows onto the members of SNW. Does he want to go in? That's a direct line coming in. There's a TP flank as well. Killer Instinct comes through, and the members of UAL will fall before the Volley Bear joins the party, and now he's forced to go onto all fours and run for the hills. 2 easy pickups from UAL. Crashes over the wall, but the Lee Sin snipes him down with the Sonic Wave, and Nautilus says, hello, did you order some CC? Volley Bear says no, but it gets shoved in his face nonetheless.
Oh, this is tragic for UAL. That's their best opportunity with the Darius off the table and with the flank as well, but they can't make it come together, and now the minions come together into their base. Moving on through to this mid inhibitor tower, should be able to take it down with a little bit of help from the Kaiser and the Syndra, but they don't quite. And now Kaiser a little overextended, but should be able to get out.
Well, I thought that might be the go from SNW and Scatter the weak landed, but you mentioned earlier how all of the gold was on the Darius, and you know, if the Darius isn't in the fight, what happens? Well, sadly, we didn't really get an answer, because by that point, by the time that fight happened, the Kaiser was even with the Ezreal on gold. So that entire goalie that we're seeing is pretty much from the Darius and a little bit in the mid lane as well. But in that particular fight, it was an even 4-on-4, and well, the Volley Bear wasn't there.
Yeah, so some might argue that means it's not an even 4v4.
Yeah, it's a 4v3.
They may claim that it's a 4v3, but this is sort of how you expect the team fights to go in the Kaiser versus Ezreal matchup as well. It's pretty good for the Ezreal early on in lane. You know, he's got slightly cheaper items, and he has you know, a lot of poke, a lot of range, which is something Kaiser really struggles with. But then the late game DPS is always there for Kaiser, and it's there for Darius.
It is disgusting, and now he can look towards the Volley Bear as well. He's got the reset on the Noxian Guillotine, and he's got the double kill as well. You say wow, but I think that was more of a wow of disgust.
That was like 1k damage. It was semi-poggers from me. That much damage putting out a tank Volley Bear like that, cleaving through him, but actually a bit of action onto Ezreal.
The depth charge in, the Cathian Rain, the final auto. Nethergrass is here, but there is no follow-up. The Void Shift has been removed. Now there's a teleport as Darius looks to join the fray after picking up a reset for members strong of SNW. However, it's not for the, well, let's say full health members strong. Of the weak for the inhibitor. It is secured, and the Syndra will be able to walk out. And guess what? There's an Infernal Drake up, and can Pacific find the steal again? He's so far away. I think this is just going to be the Infernal Soul for Cocaine Diet.
UAL aren't looking for it, and you know, in honesty, I think that's locking it in for Coke Ain't Diet. They were in the driver's seat for most of this game. There's always been a slight glimmer of hope or potential ways that UAL might bring it back, but I think with that Infernal being locked in, UAL might want to be thinking towards the third game of the semi-final.
And maybe UAL, as you mentioned, just needs to make sure they don't look to the third game. Also, this means, you know, I have to stay true to what I said, because at the after draft, you know, we were on split sides regarding who we thought had the better draft. And maybe it has come down to gameplay, in fairness. But I'm going to take this W over you.
I'll have you know that every time draft comes around, I hedge my bets expertly. And I said why I thought UAL would win. And I said what I thought Snow could do to get the advantage. And they did it. So I will still consider myself to be correct. Plus that one up as a dub in my book.
Sounds like a loser's argument to me. However, UAL might just have to find a loser's fight, or more specifically, a last stand. Apprehend comes through, and the Darius is starting to go. Oh my god! That is disgusting.
Oh.
That is a popping off. Janda's dominating. Unleash power and a half. Shut down onto the Kaiser, but it doesn't matter. They're going in for the kills. It's a 1v3 scenario for UAL, and more specifically for Shohim. He's trying to lock members under the Nexus fountain. No, the Darius is too tanky to fall. He will end the game 11-2 as the Nexus will go boom. Koki Giant take us to game 3.
Pushing us into a final game of this semi-final.